All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to PDA Group's Expert Talks on Sales. I am here with the wonderful Anna Rokina. Anna started her career in social media back in 2005 in Moscow. Over her career, she built expertise in different areas of social media, starting with social media listening and analytics, social media marketing, and strategy. Anna was part of the Lenovo social media global team, the Oracle Digital JPEG team, and now she's back to entrepreneurship and just has started her social sales transformation consultancy and training. Anna, it's a pleasure to having you here with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. Very excited for our talk today.
Great. Super. Anna, before we jump into our topic of today, do you mind introducing yourself a little bit more in detail than just what I said before?
Yeah, sure. So to add to what you said, yes, I'm Russian. For the past 9 years, I lived in Singapore. My career is in social media, and I've been doing many things. I had my own agency back in Russia with social media research agency. And here in Singapore, it's been a range of companies from a smaller agency to Lenovo and Oracle. So basically my area of expertise is how social media works in an enterprise, different aspects of it. And my job has always been to get the value out of social media for a company. Great. And that's why so many things that I have done, because there are so many things that can be done on social.
Perfect. Great. So Anna, social media and social selling, I mean, we've seen the spark in the last couple of months, but to give our audience a baseline of understanding, how do you define social selling? What is it really? What's your overall definition for social selling?
That's a great question to start with. So social selling is basically using social media for your sales process. And it starts with prospecting. It includes the whole range of activities, researching your target companies, finding and reaching out to decision makers. So pretty much the traditional sales process, but you amplify it and accelerate it with social. But in addition to these activities, there is more to social selling, which is actually a big part of it. A big part of the success is building your personal brand, becoming more visible, creating and curating content, publishing content, and engaging in communities, or engaging with, if there is no community, people around you, people who come to you, people who communicate with influencers in your industry. So this whole thing is social selling.
Wow, I mean, that's a huge spectrum, Anna, what you just described here. One thing that just sparked my interest when you were speaking was personal branding. And then we also hear social selling in the business context or being on social media. From your point of view, what is the degree in personal branding on sharing real personal things like private stuff versus keeping it more on the professional level?
That's interesting. I think just today, this morning, I've seen this discussion on LinkedIn about what to share, how personal you can get on LinkedIn. Should you share pictures of your kids on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Or how your dog had stomach problems? Is it appropriate for LinkedIn? So personal brand is still personal. It's a brand of you. You're not creating a mini branch of your company. So some personal content is definitely appropriate. But there is this not so subtle difference with Facebook or Instagram or TikTok in the tone of voice and in the context of LinkedIn. And I don't think I would be able to define it like this is possible to share, this is not possible to share, but context is important to understand when you think of people who open LinkedIn. and go through their feed, they are in the mindset of, they're in the professional mindset. So they are on LinkedIn to look for a job, meet new people, network, sell. So some of the personal content is appropriate, but so there's the context that you always have to keep in mind.
So it's basically your personal content actually has to serve the message and also keep you authentic, to be real, because it is a big blend between personal and professional life at the moment, as we have seen over the past months.
Exactly. So if you're a working mom and this is your brand, of course, some stories about how you combine work and family, absolutely appropriate. If you're like me, a cat lady, I never posted pictures of my cats on LinkedIn, actually. So I think that something that contributes to how you want to be perceived, this is something to always keep in mind, because maybe on other social networks, it's just a personal network. So you it's a free flow of your life that's pouring out on your Instagram or your TikTok or your Facebook. On LinkedIn, there's always this extra step of thinking, is it how I want people to see me?
Yeah, great advice. Thank you, Anna, for that side step. What just sparked me when I was listening to you before. But again, this huge spectrum of social selling, I mean, we have to have various skills also in our bucket to serve social selling. From your point of view and experience, what are some of the key skills here?
So big bucket of soft skills. Soft skills are actually more important in becoming successful social seller. And I would say empathy to your customer, understanding their pain, their needs, so that you can help. And this approach, that will be the baseline for your success. So then I think that coming to the hard skills, writing really helps. Good writing skills really help. Conversational writing, not being robotic, not being too formal in the way you talk to people. That is a skill, and that helps your storytelling, your ability to write a short message that will get people to answer you. That's a skill. And I think research, which comes to the soft skill of curiosity, being able to find things about decision makers, about companies that will make whatever you tell them relevant to them and not to you. So that's one very important skill as well. This is what I've seen in successful salespeople. These are the skills they really master.
And you just mentioned before empathy and researching your audience, who you want to engage with, which leads basically to building a relationship and trust as the core of every relationship. How can we build trust through this anonymous world sometimes, also what is out there in the digital world of social selling?
I think, so the term social selling itself is kind of create this misconception between selling and being social.
Yeah.
If you're selling, it's really hard to build trust. If you are being social, if you are being conversational, if you are about adding value, then that what leads to building trust. And I'll just as you think about yourself, how do you trust people on socials that come to talk to you? Would you trust people who just approach you with a call to action or a pitch or let's book an appointment in their second message to you? Probably, if you don't know them, if there's not a strong personal brand behind them, you probably wouldn't trust and give them your time. But if they approach you answering your question, or they're being really on point with a problem that you have, because they know that's what bothers you, or your industry, or you as a persona, I think this is the first step to building trust. So that all kind of comes back to the skills that I was talking about. So if you know what to say, and you are saying this wanting add value and help, that will help you build trust.
Great.
And sometimes you have to stop yourself. You really want to send that pitch. I know, because you have a target.
Anna, before one question we got on LinkedIn right now ties kind of perfectly into the question I had in mind in regard of how to enable your team. But the question on live was, how can I build my personal brand if I should target multiple industries?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I need to look up
really
fast. So you can find, so there are several ways to do that. If you target multiple industries, say you are an SDR in a company and you have multiple industries that you're in charge of, then building your personal brand is not tied to the industries that you target, because this year you are here, next year you move somewhere else and you have different industry to target. So you cannot tie this to the industry. And realistically, if you're in sales, it's really difficult to build expertise and brand in a specific industry unless you are, like, your career is tied to this industry alone. But if you're in industry selling SaaS solution and you have to target manufacturing and professional services and retail, then you build your brand around persona. That's an easier way to be more consistent. So you're selling to CMO or you're selling to IT. That is the better way. There will be commonalities. And then when you have your one-to-one outreach, then you will need to specify this to industry, but your public brand, you might want to look at the persona.
Great, super. Thanks for that advice. Anna, so I mentioned before enabling. How do you enable a team to have the skills needed in social selling and marrying social and selling together?
That was what I was really busy with. And so we used what we called programmatic approach to training and enabling growing these skills. It was both my own team and sales teams that we worked with. So I don't believe in training as a proper sit-down training beyond onboarding. So proper training during onboarding is appropriate, but after that, it should go more in ongoing learning. And that's where, so you think about it more as educator. So you start with onboarding, you are giving the knowledge, but for knowledge to transfer into skill, you need to practice this. So it means that ongoing learning is around practice in the real life situation. And that's how we focus on the skills. Say, I'll just give an example. If you want to train the skill of prospecting, researching, finding decision makers, using Sales Navigator like a pro, creating this list. So that's the best way to do it at the start of the quarter or at the start of the financial year, when you take your territories and work with the specific territories and targets using Sales Navigator to find these companies that you want, or looking at specific industry and country, create the list, look at decision makers, research decision makers, and have some plan in place. What is possible to do on social to get to the conversation, to create these opportunities? That will help practice the skill. And the role of my team's role would be more like a coach guiding this. So yeah, I think that's the best way to get the skill. If you want to train writing, which is kind of more difficult to align to your quarterly target, we did challenges, contests. It's always opt-in to who wants to participate in the writing contest. So if you do it consistently, so you want to train writing and also consistency with publishing, and over a quarter, you run this challenge and definitely get results.
So that's basically tying back to changing a habit and getting into the habit of writing, because over the course of time, you will see a change on your style and how the messaging will change and have an impact.
I think that more coaching and helping get positive result, then you don't have to do the training and quote multiple stats that this is how social selling works. 90% of buyers are succeeding. But you will actually show this is how you get result. So you want to get to the result. I would not say I want to train a habit, because we are all in adult learning. So adults, the main difference is how adults learn, like us. We need to understand why.
Yes.
why we need to do this. So if you just say something, this is one thing, but if they see the result, oh, that's why, this is how it works, then it will stick.
Okay, cool. So you mentioned the result, and that's the driving why. So how does actually good social selling look like? How do you define success and good in these terms here?
So I think that a good social seller is the go-to person in the market for either a specific product or a problem. So somebody who is known by decision makers, somebody who is recommended. So as soon as you're the social seller, start getting referrals from people you never heard of, you are probably on the right path. You're probably on the right track. So it's not necessarily somebody who creates the best videos, but it's somebody who manages to position themselves and network in this strategic way so that they are known. So that's the success.
Okay, cool. And how can you tie this success, even if that's possible, with KPIs? How are there metrics and indicators you used or you can recommend as a guideline for social selling?
So KPIs for a company, for their sales teams, this is not easy, because still social selling is done in personal space. These are not corporate accounts. There is no access to personal data. So companies, I think for best, they cannot track what we're doing on social media with that granularity. So I think the KPIs, there are two good areas of KPIs. One is usage and adoption. There are certain activities that are meaningful on Sales Navigator that show that whatever this sales team is doing, they are doing the right things. So they're taking the right steps. And the second one, the SSI is actually a decent KPI as well. I've been always against SSI because it's one metric that kind of rules them all, easily gamed, but it does show with a certain degree of certainty that the activity is there. And because it uses so much data that is not available, so that LinkedIn has in the back end, it's a really good indicator. So I would say usage, adoption of Sales Navigator, and SSI. If we think about teams that do not use Sales Navigator, there are teams that have LinkedIn, the free license or premium license of LinkedIn, or they use Facebook or Twitter. Then there's just manual attribution that sales reps will need to do, and I don't think it's very reliable.
Okay.
Because nobody wants to record some extra things manually, so I would not rely on that.
Yes. Might be against some other KPIs what we have to face.
Yeah, I think that even KPIs, like we want to have, if it's a light KPI, we want to have every quarter at least 2-3 success stories, how we sell on social media. That would be a decent KPI. And you would know what to do. You would know that you need to communicate, you need to understand, to kind of dig for these successes. If you have no success stories to share every quarter, there's probably something is off. So that would be one easy KPI to use as well.
Cool, super. Anna, I mean, we heard in the introduction and when you introduced yourself, you have a standing history in social media. But how do you perceive the pivot social selling took in the last 13, 14 months to the whole changes we have been facing?
I think in 2020, we realized that for a while, social was the only way to create new opportunities and to search for new business. Even if there's like this common fight, cold calling, social selling, what is better, what is dead, what is not dead. But honestly, cold calling even was not easy in 2020 because people work from home. Lots of your contacts are reception. So there were no gatekeepers because they're also at home, but you can also not easily get to call. So social was the only way. And after, I think this change, this realization that we need to be there, we need to look good, we need to be visible, it kind of reached more people than before. So, and we'll see how it is changing right now.
So would you even say that the pandemic and its global impact was or is the proof of concept for social selling?
I think it was in a way proof of concept. Proof of concept is usually in revenue and in sales. So, and there's so many things that go into that success. I think more people, first, it's like you're minimizing the risk in your strategy. So when 2020 came, we were like, okay, for 3 years, we were working on this. We are ready. We are prepared. We don't have to do some urgent training. We don't have to do anything. We are ready. We just need to keep going and do the right thing. So I think this realization was important for many people who were not ready, who discarded this as something that, okay, nice to have, which was nice to have for many industries that were more face-to-face focused in their sales conversations. So that was the big change.
Super.
We'll
Great.
See.
So Anna, I want to be cautious of time before we wrap up. I have 2 more questions, one from the audience directly and one from myself. And the one from the audience is again related to personal branding and personal stories. And it says, what should be a regular cadence to share content related to personal story, industry related and company created content?
So I think that definitely not 100% of company created content. So I see so much of this. So definitely not 100% of what company sends you to share. I would not say every week can be different. So on LinkedIn, so when I started social media, I'll just step back. There was always this recipe. You have to post, if you are blogging, you have to have 3 blog posts a week minimum. Now, when we look at Instagram, for example, lots of Instagram coaches always say you have to post every day. You have to have stories every day. LinkedIn is not like that. I think algorithm works differently. It's very engagement based. So if you have 1 post a week that is performing really well, this is fine. This will be enough. So I think you should have your personal content. Say you should plan for at least to have like on average once a week which will be more than enough. And you can complement this with curated content that you curate yourself, and then add in company content. I would not publish more than 20% of company content on your personal profile. So 20%.
I hope that answered the question from the audience, because I think it's a really good advice. 20% company content.
If you want numbers, yes. But just it really depends. Some companies do not produce good content. Some companies produce amazing content that is really good for social. So it really depends on what kind of content your company does.
Great. The question I had for myself was, from your point of view, Anna, what are the 3 top tips you want to share if someone wants to get started with social? Or even if they are advanced, maybe we can also distinguish their 3 starting tips and maybe 3 more advanced ones.
So yeah, the is still very valid. First step is to fix your profile and to spend some decent time on your profile, because profile is like your business card and the first impression, and it shows up in so many places on LinkedIn. So lots of components of profile are important. Say the banner. I think maybe it was the change that maybe I noticed it very late, or it happened within the last year. When you look on your mobile app, when you look at people who viewed my profile, now you see all the banners. It wasn't like that before. So now the banner, where you have your key message on the banner itself, matters way more. Obviously, the photo. For salespeople, I would never recommend having your photo private, because lots of people have this setting when your photo is only visible to your connections. So for salespeople, this is something to reconsider, to have your face there. And then everything else. So spend time on writing your overview, on picking the featured content. So it's like your mini website now. The second tip is start networking, connect with people. That's where you can go with a numbers game. Just have this target of connecting with people. I don't mean any automation by this. I just recently saw on my feed that LinkedIn, again, they changed the limits of how many connection requests you can send out, how many connection requests you can have pending. So build your network meaningfully. But also, as you do that, as you engage with people, understand what is your, and that will be maybe tip number 3, understand what is your next step for your social interactions. If you connect with somebody and they respond to your connection request, what you will follow up with for this person. So you always need to keep this in mind. And again, it's not a pitch, ideally. So think as a marketer here, think about it as your mini funnel. So what will you do with people who view your profile? What will you do with people who like your posts? What will be your next step? Not very pushy salesy, but next step. Yeah.
Maybe as an add-on to your second tip with the outreach, the connections and networking, I think the limit was 100, if I have it correctly in my head, per week. And also an add-on tip, you can delete old connection requests.
Yes,
like if you have them in your funnel for 3-4 months, maybe consider deleting them, because they also have a limit on there.
Yeah, that's a good tip. I've seen profiles being suspended because they had too many pending connection requests. Exactly. It used to be 3,000 a few years ago. Now it's 1,000. So yeah, that's a good tip as well.
We got another question on live, and it is, Anna, are you doing all the personal social selling work yourself, or do you use supportive agencies?
For my own company?
That's how I would interpret it. Yes.
Yes, I have to do what I preach, of course. Actually, I would never consider a hiring agency to do my outreach on LinkedIn. My whole background when I had social media listening agency, content creation, thought leadership was always what I've been doing myself. I know there are agencies who would do the SDR work for you, and they do help scale, but no. And no.
Okay, you're biased here. Good. We leave it there. Anna, before we finish off, one quick fire question. I have 3, but I want to be cautious of time. But the one that interests me the most is one person that inspires you. Is there one person you would share with the audience that was or is inspiring you at the moment?
So I usually have people who inspire me in the moment, because I see somebody who's doing great things and I kind of want to learn how they do it and be the same, because I have like this specific goal on my mind. But if I think about consistently in women, in business owners, entrepreneurs in tech and in social, there's a company in Australia, born in Australia, I think they went global, Digivisor, and the CEO, Emma Russo, she really inspires me, because she's been in business, she's been in very similar industry to me all the time, and social media and social insights. So look her up on LinkedIn and follow her. She's really inspiring, and her company. Yeah.
Wonderful. So if our audience wants to reach out to you, Anna, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
I wouldn't say TikTok. Yeah. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Definitely. Yes. I'll be happy to answer any questions, connect with you. So yeah, I'm open.
Wonderful. Anna, thank you so much for your time today and sharing all your experiences, expertise, and tips and tricks. I hope it was also helpful to the audience. Stay tuned for our next sessions to come, and yeah, stay social. We will see you on LinkedIn. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.